Hi everyone, Tammy here. Welcome to my channel, and I have Terry with me, Tapping Flamingo, aka the
Hello.
Bohemian Hippie. She also has a channel called Be Creative. So on her Tapping Flamingo, she does lots of jewelry making. On her Be Creative channel, she does all kinds of creative efforts. So definitely check her out over there.
Creative
And
life.
yes, creative life, her creative life. And her life is very creative now, right now with the technology.
I'm having a love-hate relationship with it right now. I am
Yeah.
now in our sunroom that is being revamped, so to speak. So hopefully, if you hear any little noises in the background, it's my grandchildren. So apologize about that.
Yes, we're doing what we can do. So, but we wanted to get together because it's a few days after the end of the virtual Blythe Retreat 2024. And so we wanted to share some of our thoughts with you guys. Terry and I, of course, have talked about this infinitum already, but then we were like, you know what? Because see, at the end of each retreat, we always do a survey. Okay, this is the very last thing we post on the last day. We post a survey, and then people can comment, put their survey comments directly, in underneath the survey post, or they can email them to us. And I don't know, I just thought it would be interesting to kind of address some of those comments publicly,
Mhm.
you know.
Yes.
And yeah, yeah. And
It kind of will give you an idea of how things actually work, of the behind the scenes, because
yes.
there's a lot of things we didn't realize until we started doing this. We've
Yes.
learned a lot.
Yes, it's been uh, a creative, but also a learning journey for us, and it continues to do so. I mean, every
Oh
time
yeah.
there's always something we don't expect, and then we have to figure out what to do about it. And there's no, there's a lot of different models that I look at out there and Terry and I, when we put this together, like I think about, obviously there's BlytheCon, that's an event that's Blythe related, and it has sales, and it has some activities and community stuff going on. And then there's this traditional doll conventions, and there's a lot of stuff that's been online as well. And so we've kind of gleaned ideas, but there's really nothing that's exactly doing what we are trying to accomplish.
Right.
So there's no blueprint, okay? So this is going to be a little chitty chatty, and obviously, if there's any part of it you want to, fast forward through, that's fine. I would say maybe go get a beverage, you know.
Yep.
If
Relax.
we'd like to do some lives. We tried to do a few live videos on YouTube, and it didn't work with the both of us. And we're going to work on that. And if we could have done that for this, we would have. But instead, we're doing good old Zoom, and then I'll edit and post it and everything. Excuse me. So, but yeah, this is sort of like a reflective video on how it went and what we're thinking, why we do things a certain way, answering some of the survey comments, and then talking about the future a little bit. So,
Right.
okay. So yeah, I guess let's get into it. I have my little notes down here, so I'll be looking down sometime, because I wanted to make sure that we got everything. And if you're part of the BBR 2024 group, that group is still open. And so if you want to go over and read people's comments, or if you haven't taken the survey, you can go over there. It's still there. And we'll be leaving that group open for a good couple of weeks in case people have missed workshops, for whatever reason, or you want to watch them again. Um, so yeah, the first couple questions were basically what were your favorite and activities and least favorite activities, and I think overwhelmingly, what did you remember from that question, Terry? What were people saying?
Well, I was really surprised, but they liked the jellyfish.
They loved the jellyfish princess. I have her up here. That was
And
that
she
was
turned out so cute. I was very pleased with that.
yes,
So, as I was designing all this, I was keeping in mind somebody at my level when it comes to sewing, which is like not quite zero, but pretty close to it.
hmm
And I wanted it to also be something that those who have a sewing background would enjoy too.
right.
So it was a little daunting, but I think I did it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So she was a fan favorite. Everybody liked the mermaid too, but the mermaid's been done. It's not like different, but
Right.
jellyfish princess, that's a new one.
I
right?
know. And believe me, when I first started designing her, I tried to look for jellyfish dolls or jellyfish princesses. There
No,
wasn't any.
no.
So I
Anyway,
was on my
no, there was
own.
not. There was not. So yeah, that was, and I would say overall, everybody liked the workshops. I didn't really see any negative comments about that, you know. I mean, I will say one thing I noticed a few people were a little hesitant about the sewing. They still feel, even though the projects I feel are super duper easy, and I try to have like two different levels, you know, like the fishtail. There were two ways to do it. One was like super duper easy, and one was mildly, I wouldn't call it difficult. Maybe it's a little bit
It was more of intermediate. I did not do
intermediate. Okay. Right.
that one. I did it easy. And as a non-sewer, just let me say this to all you non-sewers, try doing them. I was very, hang on, I got a grandchild.
Are we back?
What
You were
was I
talking
saying?
about the bandeau top. You didn't want to do the bandeau top. You
Oh,
wanted to make it.
so, but the top and also the fins, I was a little concerned on whether or not I could actually do it. And for those of you who don't sew like me, you could do them by hand. I did the whole thing by hand. I didn't even get out my sewing machine. And I was very pleased on how it turned out.
Yeah.
So give it a try. You will surprise yourself.
And I mean, I think that's one of the things that with these workshops, you know, that's something that Terry kind of and I really think about when we spend a lot of time developing the workshops with the idea that we want something that's very friendly, very user friendly, but at the same time, not so user friendly that you're going to be done in 5 minutes and you don't feel like you've accomplished anything. There's no skill building, right?
Right. And also, you know, we do need to challenge ourselves a little bit. You
Mhm.
know, we do the same things over and over, the same thing. It gets boring.
Right.
And we don't want to bore y'all.
Right.
So,
And I mean, I think about the workshops like they should be fun, but at the same time have some kind of value where you get something from it other than just being fun. You know, you learn
right.
something, like I said, skill building. And even for people, I mean, we have some people who are extremely skilled, like Claire, who makes things comes to mind. I mean, she can do everything. Okay. And she still jumped in there and did it and had a good time. And then there's other people, and I won't name any names, who've never sewn and they did it. You know what I mean? Like they did it. Okay, then we had a bunch of questions about the goodie bag. We asked people what they like, what they weren't keen about, all that. And I will say I was concerned that we did not sell the bags out as quickly as I expected. We had 50 bags this time. And this was the most we'd ever done. I think last time we did 30 bags. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, we almost doubled the amount.
Right. And
Uh,
we did
yeah.
sell them all, but it was down to the wire. Okay. And you know, those are things that we buy the stuff or make it, you know, to put into the bag. And so that's time and money. And then if we don't sell them, we're stuck with those bags. Right. And I mean, yeah, we could take them apart and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I don't want to have to stress about that. And I was stressing. I was like, we still had a few bags left. Terry wasn't, but I was. So that's why we asked people, you know, what did you like? You know, what were your favorite items in there? What would you like to see more of or less of or that kind of thing? And what do you remember what they were talking about? What did they say?
Well, they actually liked the supplies that were in there. They liked the outfit.
Yeah. Oh,
Which
the outfit was
always,
a hit.
yeah.
That was a hit. Yeah.
Unless something beyond our control happens, we will always have at least a t-shirt.
Yeah, for sure. At least a t-shirt. Yeah. T-shirt, always going to have a t-shirt for whatever reason, that's minimal.
But because that's, I love that idea.
Yeah.
But I didn't really see any negative of
and
any
I actually saw quite a few people who got it say that they were very grateful to have the supplies and they didn't have to go buy like a whole bag of beads or a whole, yeah, because if you only needed like 6 beads for, you know, earrings or something like that, you don't want to go pay and go to, you know, go trip or go to even on Amazon, you don't have to buy a bunch of stuff and then you're only using maybe, 25% of
Two
it.
beans.
Yeah, yeah. So, they were grateful. And then I remember a few people even saying they hadn't gotten it from the previous, like VBR 2023, they didn't get one. And then this time they did, and they noticed a big difference. It was much easier to do the workshops. And
Right.
you don't have to have a goodie bag, but I mean, the idea is that our event is workshop driven, even though there's other stuff going on. So you need to have supplies. And so that's
Right.
why the idea of the goodie bag might be a little different than a goodie bag you might get for a different event like BlytheCon.
Well, a lot of retreats, like for instance, I've seen beading retreats,
Mhm.
or I've seen crochet or yarn type retreats, and they will put kits together for you to buy at the
That's right.
retreat.
That's right.
And we could have done that, and I did. I had some extra ones in my shop, and I sold a few of those.
Mhm.
But I was hoping that y'all would, those of you who don't bead as often as some others, those of you who bead a lot, I can understand going and buying more beads, and you probably already have stuff in your stash.
Mhm, mhm.
But don't do it a lot. Why should you go and buy like 30 pair of ear wires when you need like 4
Right. Yeah.
for 2 pair of ear,
Yeah. Yeah. Because yes, exactly.
Right. So I tried to put stuff like, now when it came to the little beads, I used like over 100 of those. So that's why I went ahead and let y'all,
Right.
purchase those, the wire, the cording, because that stuff you're going to use.
Mhm.
That's stuff we use all the time.
And you used quite a bit of wire because we had
Right.
well, there was 2 pull cords. We had her crown. We had the other crown for the mermaid crown. So, I mean, if you bought a spool of wire, there was the
You
same
probably,
size. You used it a bunch, right? So.
yeah. And I kept in mind when I was, getting the workshops together, I wanted to make sure that the same cording was used or the same size wire. You didn't have to have a 26 gauge for this and a 20 gauge for that. It was all
Right.
the same.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Again, that's something we kind of think about. Like, we look for, like scrap friendly projects. That's another thing, like that bandeau top is like this much fabric you need. So that's and the crown, I mean everything. So we do take that. So I will say I was surprised about we sold them all, the goodie bags. And at first we sold a whole bunch, and then it kind of just dwindled down, and then every once in a while we'd sell one. Then it was kind of steady for a while. And then at the end we had like a half a dozen or so, and I was like, oh, no, they're gonna sell. And they sold. But
well, we were just in the past, like the past 2 years, they were sold within 2 weeks.
yes.
Boom, gone.
Yeah.
But I think was it the first year we had 20, and
Yes.
the next year we had 30. So we ramped it up quite a bit this year with 50.
Right. And so I would say my takeaway is we'll probably still do 50 next year, but we're not going to do more than 50 unless something crazy happens. I think 50 is our sweet spot right now.
Now, I actually would like to throw a question to y'all that are listening. What did you think of being able to buy more supplies beyond the goodie bag?
Oh, yes.
That's, because I know a couple of people that bought supplies, like the kits from me. They had bought the goodie bag, but they wanted more.
Right. They wanted to make more. Yeah.
And some of them, they didn't get the goodie bag. I think they were sold out. So they came and they bought, I forgot what it was.
So you sold some kits, but and I think some of that, Terry, is, and that relates to something else we were going to talk about, getting the word out.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I personally felt like I was inundating the internet with VBR stuff from April.
Too much.
Yeah, I did. I thought people were going to be like, oh, God, it's another video about VBR, because I was on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I mean, I felt like, and I knew that you have to do that a lot because not everybody sees it. But then, with some of the comments that people had, like, oh, I didn't know. You should have put out a call for vendors, just a good idea. It's like, we did that.
A lot.
But we did it like one time and we did it on my channel and I might have mentioned it here and there, but I think it just shows that we need a bigger social media presence.
So next year, when you see us a lot, if those of you who see us
Yeah.
a lot,
Give us a break. Yeah.
sorry about
Yeah.
that. But there are people like I know, even some of Tammy's stuff I didn't see. I said, well, when are you going to put that video out? She goes, well, I did that 2 days ago. I'm like, oh, I didn't see it. So I have to hunt for it. So
Right.
it happened.
Yes. Yeah. So I think, that we were wrong thinking that we were inundating the internet. We were not. Maybe we were inundating a couple of people on the internet. But other than that, generally speaking, I feel, yeah, we have to ramp that up. So, and that was something, like people would say things. There were some other things, not just the vendor thing, but there was other things where people like said things like, "Oh, I didn't know you had goodie bags." I'm like, "Oh my goodness gracious." I'm sorry, but I did so many goodie bag videos. Like, I mean, I felt like that, so
Yeah.
so yeah. Let's see. And then we asked about the prizes. Everybody loved the grand prize, the Fanny Flamingo. And this was something I gotta say, Terry, I had to talk her into this because it was a big financial leap for us to
See,
buy
was it?
a stock
Yeah.
doll for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the two previous retreats, what I did is we bought a fake doll, a non-stock doll, and then I customized her a little bit. And I think they turned out cute. I mean,
Oh,
yeah, I mean the one I did for the boho theme, oh my goodness, I just love that doll. She turned out so cute, I think, I didn't carve her or anything. I just changed out some eye chips and I did a matte face up. No face up. I just did a matte face and I made her a really cute outfit. And I mean, I just felt like we were ready to level up a little,
Mhm.
So buying a stock doll that um isn't around a lot. Like it was hard. There's not a lot of Fanny Flamingos new in box out there. And that doll is not a cheap doll. Okay.
No.
So that was a little scary. And I'm glad we did it. I admit I thought it might bring more people into the retreat. And maybe it did. I mean, we did have a good turnout. I
We
mean,
had, well, there was 67. That's including the two of us, right?
right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So
And we actually sold a few more passes and some people didn't come. But since we started the first one, we have doubled the number of people who are participating, more than doubled. Okay, let's put that. So considering it's just 3 years, I think that's not too bad.
no, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an eager beaver. I'm an overachiever, or I want to be. Let's put it that way. I want to be an overachiever. It doesn't always
Yeah.
work out for me, but so and that kind of, even though we're kind of skipping around here on my notes, this kind of brings up money that I wanted to talk a little bit about this because it also addresses some of the questions that people were asking us and requests and that kind of thing. And
And
so
we're going to open book here on this. We want to be straightforward of, what and how we're going about it and
yeah,
why.
in fact, I don't know if you were there the first day, Thursday, we had Erin Williams talk to us about BlytheCon Vegas. She's running BlytheCon Vegas. So if you get to go, that's this summer. It actually starts like a week or so after my fall semester starts. So there's like no way I could go. But anyway, Terry and I talked to her about maybe doing a BlytheCon. And that was an eye opener.
Big eye opener. Yes.
Yes, bless their hearts big time. I mean, they work very hard and it is a total volunteer thing. And I'm talking not just their time, which is massive, which Terry and I can totally relate to that because this is a huge time suck. Yeah, but they're putting their own money up front for some of those events and it's volunteer. They're not making any money on
Right.
that LifeCon. Okay, it's not, they're doing it completely for the community and their love of the hobby. And while we love the hobby and we love the community, that's not the direction we're trying to go in. Okay.
To me, it's a little scary. I know. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's kind of back up a few years before.
Good idea.
So this was during COVID, and I was actually in Florida, and I was visiting my family, and Tammy and I were talking about doing a retreat. And we had talked about retreats for years, but we thought, you know what, let's just do it. So we thought we would have a venue on the beach. So we called, I can't remember what motel it was. It was a known,
like something like the Marriott. It was a known name on
it was
the Hyatt. Okay.
And they're right on the beach. Anyway, as we're discussing this with the guy, we're talking thousands of dollars just for the venue. Then we had to we had to have so many people coming and renting, and we had to come up with that money. And like, if we didn't have that many people come, we lost out on that money. Anyway, it wasn't just nickeling and diming.
No.
It was
thousands of dollars up front that we could just be flushing down the toilet.
And so after talking to this guy, we're like, So I said, you know what? Why don't we just see if we can do this virtually? And here we are today.
Yes.
So we know these things cost a lot of money, and it's a lot of upfront. And I'm not saying we will never do a live event. We have some ideas of something maybe later on, which I'm not going to speak on that in case it doesn't happen.
Right.
But, right now, I think having this virtual event works for all of us. How many people have reached out to me and have thanked us for this virtual? We've got people that have health problems, people that financially can't do it. People from Australia, South Africa, England, they can't come over here just in a whim. I can't go there in a whim, you know? So this has been really, really great to be able to do it virtually.
Right. And so we are trying to make money, and we do make money in the sense that we have a nest egg, a VBR nest egg now. And we take that. Yes. I'll put it like this way. We have a VBR nest egg. And we take that money and we roll it into the next one. And we just keep rolling. And it gets a little bit, it was like this big and now it's this big. Okay. But that's the thing is, because we did well with our previous one, we were able to spend hundreds of dollars on that grand prize.
Right.
So that's the thing is, and then we have, then of course there's fees, like Etsy takes a big old chunk out,
I feel real bad that some of my stuff it's still not really that high when I compare it to other, on Etsy or anywhere else. But I'm like, you're taking out a very large chunk.
Yes. Yeah. And that was something like the first time we did it, I didn't really think about that so much.
Right. And shipping fees. We have to pay fees on shipping fees that we don't get.
Yeah. Yes. They charge fees on the ship. So it's, you can Google it and find out. I won't tell you all the numbers. Just go Google it, but it's a chunk. It is a chunk. And so there's that. And then of course, all the time we have finally come to the realization and the understanding that the time we spend on this is not something we're going to get back monetarily. That's it. There's, if we wanted to figure out how many hours we put into it and make it into a real business, it was the worst business model ever known to mankind. Okay.
Right. We are doing this because we enjoy it. And I'll have to say, it isn't just the dolls I enjoy, it's the community. I so much enjoyed chit-chatting with everybody virtually and seeing what they've done. And that was a lot of fun. So personally, our financial goals when it comes to the retreats are to keep it going and grow it.
because it costs money, you know, like those goodie bags. We shelled out money for those goodie bags. That's why I was freaking
Yeah.
out. Okay. We bought all those little t-shirts. We designed the t-shirt and then we worked with somebody who made them for us. But we had to buy all that stuff up front, you know, those little bloomers and all the stuff in there. We had to buy it. And then of course it took time to put it all together. But just that we had to shell out bucks for all that kind of stuff. And so if we want to grow and have more goodie bags and more people, you need money to buy the stuff, right? So it's just, you know, and then as far as like way in the future, Terry mentioned we have other things way in the future that we'd like to do, maybe something that's in person. And Terry and I would like to be able to maybe travel and go to BlytheCon together. And if maybe doing the VBRs will finance that.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I think going to these Blythe cons, we can glean a lot of information on what we can do to put into, you know, our retreat and stuff.
Right.
Now, one thing that was also mentioned was having like guest artists or
Yes.
guest speakers.
Yes. Yeah. And that's okay. And that's another thing. So that's a goal, right? But so people have offered to do workshops for us, to volunteer workshops, to give us stuff for the goodie bags. And we did that like one time, and then I felt uncomfortable with that. And Terry and I both did, because
we don't want to take advantage of people.
Yes. And this is not a volunteer thing. This is not BlytheCon. Okay. This is not where everyone's volunteering their time and their money. Okay. You know, because they're putting money up front for stuff and hoping to get reimbursed eventually. That's not how this is. Like I said, first we had to put our own money in, and then we used that and rolled it. But we are getting money, you know, for the stuff we sell, you know, for the services we're doing, the goodie bags and all that kind of stuff. And to have somebody give me something to put in a goodie bag that I then sell to somebody else, I feel is unethical. I mean, am I wrong there? Let me know the comments down there. So
as to what y'all think about that.
Yeah. And the same with the workshops. And that's another thing. Like, if we make enough money in the future, we could pay somebody. So again, Terry referring to going out, if you go on a retreat, like a craft retreat, very often they have big name people who come there and teach, you know, workshops and stuff. And those people are paid. They're paid for that, you know. And so we'd like to be able to do that, you know, and I think it's something we can do virtually, but we got to build up to that. And so that's another thing. That's why, even though I'm like really touched that people would be willing to do that for us, it's not something I feel comfortable with, you know. So yeah. Well, I think is that kind of covered all the money thing.
Yeah. And like, you know, like Tammy said, put your thoughts down in the comment section below.
Yeah.
I'm really curious what y'all think about that.
Yeah.
You know,
and I will say one more thing about it. So one thing that we did do this time that we, you know, did pay somebody to do for us, like the design of t-shirts, we did that. We had to pay for that. But also Karen Lewis, she made the coloring page for us. And, you know, she's a professional artist. And I paid her for that. Okay. We paid her money to do that for you guys. Right. Because I thought it was, and that's something I can see doing again. It was within our means because we had enough to do that, you know. Okay. And she worked with me, you know, because I'm her budly. Okay. So, you know, I got a little, discount, so to speak, but it was not free, you know, and so we'd like to be able to do more of that. In fact, a lot of people really, really like that coloring page. So that's probably something we're going to do if Karen's willing to do it. I haven't said that to her yet. So watching Karen, she has a Starches and Stitches YouTube channel. Okay. So she's watching. Yeah. Put us down for 2025. Okay. So, but that's the type of thing we're talking about. Like, we do want to do that, but we want to do it in a way that feels comfortable ethically for us. And you know what, people can make their own events. Like, we don't rip us off, but You know, don't go out and start doing your own VBRs, but there's no other people do virtual events. And if you really want to do something like that, start a YouTube channel. Start a YouTube channel, come over to Blythe Doll Buddies on Facebook and post videos, post links to your videos. You can, I mean, you can do that. You don't need us we're not holding you back, is what I'm trying to say. So, but anyway, yeah, so we'll shut up about the money now. That might be something people were curious about. I don't know. So, all right. So the next thing we're going to do is lessons learned. Yeah. So, first
We
of all,
always learn.
yeah, oh yeah, we learned. Well,
That's for sure.
this isn't even all of them, but we're just going to hit some of the biggies. Okay. Don't have it on Father's Day weekend.
You know what? I don't know why I didn't even. I mean, when we looked at the calendar, it didn't say Father's Day on there.
Mm-mm.
It didn't say anything. So I was like, okay, we won't do that again. And you know what though? I did learn that the USA isn't the only one that has Father's Day on that same weekend.
Yes.
I believe England.
Yes, UK does. And another thing we learned was, okay, this was the first time we had vendors and we had an extra day for that, for shopping. We did not need to do an extra day for that.
No.
We had some people when we sent out a survey to our vendors, and I think we had like 7 or 8 people who did vendors, who sold stuff. And yeah, I think that's about right. Anyway.
Yeah.
And some people did really well.
Some of you did really well.
Yeah.
Some of us.
Yeah. Terry and I did not sell a single thing. We both had little albums in there. But we do think it was still good to do. It was useful because, again, it was something that we feel like if you were on a retreat, that's an experience you would have. So we're trying to kind of replicate that as much as possible. Also was really great because one of the requirements of a vendor was to give a prize out. So we had lots of prizes.
So by the way, down in the comment section below, I would like to ask you a question. Do you have any other ideas on how to do a vendor fair other than how we did it? Is there a better way?
Yeah.
We're still trying to figure that one out.
Yes.
And especially with Facebook, as we all know, things get buried.
Yeah,
and that's really kind of difficult. But it's like, I thought, well, should we just do it like on a separate page? Should we do it? I don't know.
I'm not keen on that idea, but yeah. I see what Terry, because the problem is, so whenever if you're familiar with Facebook feeds, right, when you put something in there, it brings everything up to the top, right? And so as people are talking, things get pushed down, up, put down, up, down. So it's like this, so you have to be pretty, and then so if somebody's updating their shop or whatever, their album, we had albums under the media tab for that, then that gets pulled up to the top. So it's just a lot going on. And I guess that kind of also addresses one of the things we can't do. A lot of people, not a lot of people. A small group of people don't like Facebook and have mentioned to us, why do you use Facebook? I don't like Facebook, blah, 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 blah. And the thing is, we actually thought about using Patreon, and and I'm over on Patreon. I do follow a few people over there. But I could see how in some ways it would be useful because with Patreon, it's more like a blog. And so you have one section of there's the post and people comment down below. And even if somebody comments, it doesn't push it up to the top. It's time. It's in a chronological time order. And then there's a separate community tab where people can go over there and post their pictures. But a big problem with that, and I think it was Claire who pointed this out, was because we asked people about Patreon specifically. When we're doing the workshops, one of the really cool things about the workshop videos is people in the comments can post pictures of the stuff they made for that workshop. Patreon will not let you post pictures in the comments.
Well, you know what? That just reminds me too, the post down below the answer to this question for a prize. We wouldn't be able to do it that way. And
you can. Yeah, you could.
Oh, they can post in the comments?
They can post in the comments, but they can't post pictures. They can say something.
Well, some of my things were post a picture
And that's
of
true.
what you're doing.
Right.
And the thing is, the reason I have you post it in the comments is because it's easier for me to count up all the people. Because if you post it somewhere else, I'm probably not going to see it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
exactly.
it makes it easier.
And also the way Patreon monetarily works is you have to agree to a monthly payment.
Yeah.
And our retreats are a weekend, so that just does not work. So, all right, folks, we're back. I had a little coughing fit, so not a surprise because we've been yapping for a while. Thank you for everybody who's patient. We're gonna hopefully wrap things up here in a few minutes. So lessons learned. We were talking about lessons learned, and there was a couple of things with that. They're kind of related. I got the agenda out later than I anticipated. The agenda lists everything that we're going to do and what time we're going to do it. And a few people mentioned it would have been handy to have it earlier, even though, I mean, we told people we're going to do stuff, but this actually tells you like at 10 o'clock, we're going to have this workshop in it. 11 o'clock, we're going to have this prize post, and et cetera, et cetera. Especially people who were overseas, this affected them more than I realized. And that is something that we're still kind of dealing with. We have a fair number of people who are not US based. And so when it's, 10 o'clock our time, it's like,
I think there's a 5-hour difference between where you are, Tammy, and parts of the UK.
Yes. So that's problematic. And I think one way to remedy that is to maybe move our timeline up a little bit. Like typically we start around 8 or 8:30 and we have like a quote of the day, or one time we had like a meditation thing. We did that one year. And then we have like a welcome video and all this kind of stuff. I think we could bump up those things and move them down a little bit so we have the workshops up higher.
Right. Yeah.
But yes, in hindsight.
But because it's virtual, we can do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we keep reiterating, but at the same time, people really like to do it in real time.
Yeah.
Because then, like if you're doing the project and then you get to post your finished project, so everybody can see it. And I do realize that, even though Terry and I keep saying, oh, you don't have to do it at that time, you can do it later. But they like to do it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, actually. It is. It's really one of the highlights of it for us is to, I have like the first project was the mermaid tail because that one was the more involved one. So we always do those kind of like first so they have time over the weekend. But people were like bippity boppity bang popping those puppies out, pretty quickly. And but if you have to wait, like before you can even start the first one. So we are thinking about that. And so I'll get the agenda out sooner and we will try to work on the, timing a little bit for people. And that's just something we're still kind of juggling, the whole dealing with people internationally. I will say that's also been something with the prizes, like we have a lot of people who donate prizes and somebody will say, well, I'm going to donate, but I don't want to pay shipping to, out of the US, which I understand. I mean, if you send like, something like this to Britain from Florida, that's $16. And I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating.
Okay? Actually something like this.
Yes. Yeah.
Packet of seeds, $16. Boom.
Boom. Yeah. So I get that. But so anyway, so that's something we're dealing with. And then and then back to some of the things like things we can't do and why, kind of thing, and it kind of relates to the future, which is what we're going to wrap up with here soon. We actually asked people if they would be interested in a second retreat or more activities, and we talked about doing it. We were like this far. We almost had ourselves talked into it. Yeah. And as we talked, we were like, okay.
We even had a theme.
Oh, yeah. Theme. We were listing projects. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But and it wasn't just as we were talking, as we were reading some of the things that y'all said.
Mm-hmm.
Several of you said, if you want to do it, that would be great, but you might want to think about it. And we
Right.
did. And
Right. Yeah,
yeah,
don't I think some of the comments were, as long as it didn't affect the quality,
right.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's something, I don't know if it would or not, but it would be a lot. And I still work full time, so until I'm, retired sometime in the future, that's not something I feel comfortable committing to, because like right now I'm still on my summer break and I start back next week to classes for the summer. So right now I'm like, I have all the time in the world. Next week, I will be, up to my eyeballs in grading essays, and I will have a completely different point of view. So, so that said, we do have plans for the future. And oops, oh, my little notes thing keep up. Okay, so our plans for the future. One of them is expanding the crafting techniques we've been using, we've been including in workshops, and we did ask about that as well. And what did they tell us, Terry?
I'm trying to remember.
Well, the crochet. You're the one
Oh,
that
yeah.
yeah.
Duh.
Yeah. Like
I didn't know where you were
that was your cue.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and I actually even posted something about a little project that I was working on.
Mhm.
Asked if anybody would be interested in crocheting, and I was actually very pleasantly surprised. A lot of you do know how to crochet, but a lot of you don't, and a lot of you that don't know how said you would like to learn. So
So that's something probably we're going to have some crochet projects in the future.
right,
Also,
and they're not going to be difficult.
right.
Again, I crochet, but I am not an expert.
And this is something I'm kind of jumping back a little bit because I forgot to mention, because it kind of is related to this a little bit. Crochet and, well, maybe it's not related. Anyway, another thing is something I have a note here about things that puzzled us that people said in the retreat survey. So people,
Yeah,
it was great to see people are interested in crochet. But one thing that a few people mentioned, so this is making us pay attention. They were like, yeah, we'd like to have another, additional retreats, but we'd really like to see a different theme. And Terry and I are like, but we have been doing different.
We did. It was peace, right?
Yeah.
And then last year it was boho.
Oh,
And then this year was under the sea party. Now, all that being said, both of us are from Florida.
so, I mean, I guess I can kind of see some overlap. I can see the first one was peace. It was just peace. There was really no narrative. We didn't have things tied together that well. That first retreat, we really threw together in just a couple of months. So we didn't have a lot of, time to really mull it over. So it was kind of it kind of was a peace hippie theme. The doll that the grand prize doll was my doll, Moonbeam, that I had made as part of a video collaboration where we were doing hippies with Dolls Rescued. And so, okay, so then I can kind of see how that might be related to the boho thing.
Right, yeah.
So the boho was like beach boho, and I made a doll named Bo, and we turned our dolls into beach boho dolls. Like, here's this chick here. She's wearing one of the outfits. Okay, so so I kind of see how the piece connected to the boho, and then the boho was the boho beach, and then now we're under the sea. So I see a thread there. So
Thin one though.
yeah,
but it's there. Yeah.
It's there, but but yes, Terry and that's our aesthetic is beach, summer, and it's during the summer, right? So that's another thing is it's not like we're doing it in, December, or something like that. So, however, we hear you. We hear you. We are paying attention to you. I'm looking at my notes. So I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. So we're thinking instead, we're not going to do a whole nother second we're not going to do an additional full-on retreat. We are going to do another VBR 2025. However, we are interested in kind of continuing the role here and maybe doing some workshops that will give people a taste of what a VBR is. You know, what do you do at a virtual Blythe retreat? We tell people all the time what you do, but until you actually go to one, it's kind of hard to understand. And that's something that a lot of people have said, you know, people who didn't go to the first couple, that was a comment that we've seen a lot, like, oh, now I get it, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And we're not, it's not going to be like you have to have a pass and you come in there, you know, it's not going to be like that. In fact, it will probably be on our Blythe Buddies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a free Facebook group. Yeah.
Right. We'll post the workshops on our YouTube channels and then just put the links in the Blythe Buddies Facebook.
Yeah, Blythe Doll Buddies. If you go over to Facebook and look up Blythe Doll Buddies, and I have a link I always put in all my videos. Almost all my videos have a link to my Facebook group, to our Facebook group, Blythe Doll Buddies. So that will be kind of like where we'll have people post the pictures of stuff they make. And then on YouTube, we'll publish the videos and then share them over there.
Right.
And we're gonna make themes. We're gonna thematically connect the workshops. So and we're going to do them in certain, like, I think the first one we're shooting for is September, right, Terry?
Yeah.
And when it gets closer and we get our ducks in a row, we'll tell you the theme. But the first one we're thinking of doing is September. We'll have nothing to do with water.
Yeah, if we're going that we think we're going, it has nothing to do with water.
Right. And so we're thinking of doing one in September, and then we're thinking of doing another one in February.
Right.
Which will also, no water. Yeah, that one also has no water. But there'll be thematic workshops that all work together and very similar to what we're doing. So like I said, in the boho, when we did the boho beach theme, we turned a Blythe doll into a boho beach doll. In the under the sea party, we turned a doll into a mermaid, and we turned another doll into a jellyfish princess. So all of the workshops work together. We made all the different parts and pieces of their costumes. So we're thinking of doing the same kind of idea where we have a theme, whatever that's going to be.
Yeah.
And the workshops will be project driven, so that you make a thing for each workshop, put them all together, and you have voila, whatever the thematic character is. Yeah. So, and then that way you can use, you know, a stock Blythe, you can use a non-stock Blythe, and some of these might also work for other dolls, for sure. The 1/6 scale dolls. Yeah. And in fact, some people did use, I think somebody did use Cindy dolls. I saw that. That was really cute. She had, so anyway, that's the future. That's the big thing that we're focusing on now. We are still planning the VBR 2025. That's going to take us a year to get together. But in the meantime, we're going to have, I guess, and we don't really know what to call them. If you have any ideas. Yeah, so we are thinking about doing these sort of thematic workshops that are sort of like little bites to give you an idea of what the big virtual Blythe retreat is. We're not really sure what we're going to call it. We kind of feel like we have a bit of a brand now, VBR, Virtual Blythe Retreat, but we don't really want to call it a Virtual Blythe Retreat because it's really not. No. I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. I thought about maybe a la carte, or I don't know. If you have any ideas, let us know in the comments if you're still there, if you haven't fallen asleep. Okay. Yeah, but we want to keep crafting together throughout the year. And I think this is a way, even though Terry and I, we do occasionally have, in the past, we've done tutorials and things like that on our channels, but these are going to be more focused and
it's like having a purpose.
Yeah.
Not just
an thing. You make this, and that, and you end up with, you know, you make A, B, C, D, and you end up with Z, whatever that is, you know. So that's kind of it, you know, and it's for anybody out there who likes to craft and do stuff with their dolls. And again, it's the same kind of idea. It'll be fun, but somehow also provide some skills, a way to hone your crafting skills a little bit, and both of us will do it. So I think that makes sense. But if you haven't joined us on the Blythe Doll Buddies group, I really urge you to do that. And of course, obviously, you want to, give this a thumbs up, even though maybe your thumb's really tired right now. But prop up the thumb, give this a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to Terry's channels. She's got Be Creative with Terry Jeanette Carter, right?
Terry Jeanette.
Terry Jeanette. Be Creative with Terry Jeanette and Tapping Flamingo. And is there anything else I'm missing, Terry? We covered everything?
I think we covered everything. Look at your notes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. If you have questions, which you might.
To ask.
Yeah, put them in the comments. They might give us some ideas for future videos. Yeah, we're just going to keep the crafting rolling. We want more people to craft with us. And yeah, enjoy just the sort of wave that has started with this VBR. Keep on the wave, even though I know that's water-based. Sorry about that. We'll get off the wave. Trust me. The next couple of themes will have nothing to do with water. We have a lot of ideas already. So yeah, I hope you kind of make sure you tune in for those future workshops. And I guess that's it.
Yeah, you'll be surprised about this next one.
Yeah, I think you will. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah. And when we think it's different, we feel like it's different. Anyway, we'll find out. All right. Thanks again. Yeah, that's it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.